Start game now. Bob the Lobster is back, and he brought with us an aquatic adventure, and that adventure is Jaws. Just for episode 150, makes sense. In episode 50, I did Ninja Golf. It has sharks. Episode 100, I did Sewer Shark, which has shark in the name, and now we're doing the classic Jaws. Well, it's not exactly based on a classic movie, but the poster kind of looks like a classic Jaws poster. Let's go ahead and take Jaws, this interactive video game. You know what happens when you have a spelling mistake? You trademark it. So let's take this interactive video game, pop it into our NES, and see how Jaws holds up today. This time, there's no escape. Jaws was published by LGN in 1987, and it is not based on the 1975 original movie that is considered a masterpiece, but instead the 1987 sequel Jaws the Revenge, or the fourth movie in the series, which basically killed the series for the past 30 years. Jaws is an action game for one player only, with only one standard mode of difficulty. If you're not familiar with the plot of Jaws the Revenge, Chief Brody is now dead, and now his widow is convinced that a shark is after her whole family for revenge after a series of attacks, including one that kills her son Sean. Oh, and now Miss Brody apparently now has some sort of psychic connection with the shark. So now it is up to her boyfriend Michael Caine the pilot, and her other son, the seashell collecting marine biologist Michael, to use a magic flashlight to make the shark roar and jump straight up into the air so it can be impaled by the bowsprit of their boat and explode. It's a movie so realistic you might confuse it for a documentary. You start the game in your boat on an overhead screen. Your goal in this mode is to go to alternating harbors, buying equipment and power-ups with seashells. First, you have to buy a transmitter that beeps to let you know when Jaws is nearby for 5 shells. After that, you can power up. You start at level 1, level 2 will cost you 3 shells, level 3 will cost you 5 shells, 4 will cost you 7, 5 will cost you 10, and after that, each newer power-up will cost you 5 more shells than the previous one, all the way up to level 9. After that, you can buy extra strobe lights for 10 shells each. As you move around in the boat, you will occasionally hit something. Typically it includes a school of jellyfish and rays, but it can also include small sharks and Jaws himself, or is it herself? Your goal in these stages is to collect items and clear enough critters to return to your boat. In these stages, if you are touched by any of the creatures, you will lose a life. You use the D-pad to move your diver, A button to stop quickly, and the B button to shoot up to 3 spears on screen at the same time. There is no rapid fire, so I would recommend a turbo controller to save your thumb a little bit of pain. Ironically, I found that the jellyfish and not the sharks will be your worst enemy, especially in the latter stages when they will move diagonally and come from the bottom of the screen more quickly. You'll also want to stick to deeper waters, as the shallow areas give you less area to move in. When you defeat a sea critter, they will sometimes drop items, including the shells you use to buy stuff, and starfish for bonus points, as well as crabs that, when caught, will increase the speed of your diver, just like real life. However, be advised that when you die, you will lose your speed power-up, your transmitter, and 1 power-up level. Occasionally after these levels, you will enter a bonus stage where you bomb jellyfish from an airplane. That's right, you heard me. You are bombing jellyfish from an airplane. This is going to work real well. It reminds me a little bit of the bonus stages from Galaga, except it's much more difficult due to the fact that you don't really control the plane. Your plane moves automatically, you just have to decide when to drop the bombs, and it's very hard to synchronize and hit the jellyfish below. Whenever you earn 30,000 points, a one-man sub will appear randomly on the overhead map that you can pick up with your boat. It gives you 1 hit of protection during the diving screens. It also lets you drop bombs by pressing the A button and the B button to fire torpedoes. At various points in the game, you will encounter Jaws himself. You can sometimes tell where he is on the overhead map by seeing his fin, but not always. If you are close to him when you hit a diving scene but not directly contacting him, he will appear at some point during the stage. But when you defeat enough of the lesser enemies, you'll return to the boat even though you didn't defeat Jaws. However, if you make direct contact with him on the overhead screen, you will start in your boat with the ability to bomb by pressing B to shoot bombs to the left and A to send them to the right. LGN must have bought some surplus of bombs when they made this game. Once the boat gets touched by something, you will go back into diving mode, with Jaws once again swimming around and other critters as well. Once you defeat enough of the critters, you'll return to your boat despite the fact that Jaws has still not been defeated. The only time this changes is when you finally deplete Jaws' life bar. This is very difficult to do early on in the game, but once you hit around power level 3 and above, you should have a shot at pulling this off. But be advised, Jaws can regain some of his health in between meetings. Now I am going to give you a spoiler alert. Not only am I going to show you how to play the final scene, but I'm also going to show you the end that has a little bit of red in it that might be blood. So if you want to skip this part, you may want to skip the next minute of the video. Once you deplete Jaws' life bar, you will enter the final stage. Here it takes a more 3D behind the boat perspective, with the fin of Jaws moving erratically in front of you. During the stage, you have a limited number of strobe lights that is shown at the bottom of the screen. When you press the A button, you will shoot out a magic beam from your strobe light that makes Jaws jump straight up and do a little circular dance. And the B button is used to stab them using the bow of your boat. So you want to get them lined up perfectly, and you want to try and stab them right in the throat in the white part of Jaws. If you do this successfully, you will have defeated Jaws and beat the game. Woohoo, go you. And that, in a nutshell, is Jaws. It would be highly confusing to play this game without knowing what to do, so I hope you found this helpful. Graphically speaking, the game, well, it's not really that spectacular. It does a fair job overall. You can see what everything is, but nothing's really going to wow you. I thought the music and sounds were okay, including the nice rendition of John Williams' Jaws theme at the beginning of the game. Family friendly wise, some kids might be scared of the sharks, and of course you do have the last stage where you can stab Jaws and see a little bit of red that may be a starburst or it might be a little bit of blood. On eBay, loose copies of this game go for about $6 to $8 a piece. Complete copies were going for about $20 to $30, and a new copy even sold for $125. And as always, that includes shipping. So would I recommend Jaws? Well, maybe if you're a Jaws fan. I actually found myself really enjoying this game. It's simple. Once you understand the concept, it is fairly easy to control. I did get frustrated sometimes. I don't like the fact that you lose power-ups when you die. It almost made at some points more sense for me to just restart the game than start with a lesser power-up, because as you go on in the game, the enemies such as the jellyfish will get more difficult. So rather than go through that with a lesser guy, I decided to just restart the game at times. Also, sometimes it was frustrating when jellyfish, just like in real life, would pop up through the bottom of the screen and hit you out of nowhere and cause you a death. So yeah, there was some frustrations, but overall, I actually enjoyed this, and I kept on playing it until I was able to defeat Jaws. So most people are going to say to avoid this game. I say if this looks like something that might interest you, if you're a fan of the Jaws series, or if you just like sharks, go ahead and give it a check out the next time you pick up a copy. So where am I going to rank Jaws? Well, at number 6, I have Adventure Island 2, and I do enjoy that tropical game a little bit more than this one. And Xevious, the classic shooter, at 7, I enjoy that more. But guess what? I actually enjoyed Jaws more than the original Adventure Island. I'm more likely to pick up this game than that game, so I'm going to put it right there at my new number 8 spot. Now, this is my ranking, and your miles may vary on Jaws. I know a lot of people don't like this game, but I actually got some enjoyment out of it. I am a member of the Retro Junkies Network, and so is Two Dudes in a NES. They're a podcast that is a game-by-game podcast for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and they covered Jaws in one of their episodes as well, and you can check them out on iTunes. It was a really good listen. Thank you guys for giving me part of your day, and thank you for helping me reach 150 episodes. That's right, there are tons of other No Swear Gamer videos for you to enjoy, so be sure to check them out, whether you like the Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, or the Atari systems, or just retro stuff in general. I'm sure you'll find something that you can enjoy. Thanks again, guys. Be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons, and I look forward to seeing you next time on episode 151 of the No Swear Gamer. Take care.